At the age of 23, Richard finally moved out of his parents' house, eager to embrace his long-awaited independent life. Though his new place was nothing more than an old, slightly run-down apartment, it was his very own space. Everything felt fresh and exciting, but one thing nagged at him. The landlord had mentioned that someone lived in the unit next door, yet in 3 months, Richard hadn't seen or met his neighbor. What unsettled him more was the peculiar sound he often heard at night, a muffled woman's laughter. It wasn't joyous, but rather restrained, almost eerie, and it always echoed through the thin walls at exactly 3 a.m., waking him from his sleep. Could it be some strange woman living next door? He often wondered, trying to brush off the unsettling feeling. One evening, Richard got home early from work and ran into the landlord in the hallway. Seizing the opportunity, he decided to ask about his mysterious neighbor.
Ah, your neighbor, he's a guy around your age.
The landlord replied casually.
I think you two even went to the same college. He should be home now.
Curious and eager to finally meet this elusive person, Richard decided to introduce himself. He knocked on the door next to his and waited. The door opened to reveal a slightly chubby young man who looked like he'd graduated not too long ago. Hi, I'm Richard. I live next door, Richard said with a polite smile.
Hey there, what's up?
The man replied, smiling back. I just wanted to introduce myself, Richard said. The landlord mentioned we went to the same college, and I realized I hadn't met you since I moved in.
Wow, small world. I'm David. Nice to meet you, Richard.
The man said warmly.
I work night shifts at a bar, so I'm not home much during regular hours. That's probably why we haven't crossed paths.
That made sense, Richard thought, and they quickly fell into casual conversation about college, their apartments, and the neighborhood. Eventually, Richard brought up the question that had been bothering him. By the way, I've noticed something. At night, I sometimes hear a woman's voice coming from your apartment. Is that your girlfriend? David chuckled.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I work at the same bar. Sometimes, after work, she stays over. That's probably what you're hearing.
Relieved, Richard nodded. That explains it. Please say hi to her for me.
Will do,
David replied with a grin.
Oh, and by the way, I've heard voices from your side of the wall too. Your girlfriend has a nice laugh. Maybe we should all grab a drink sometime.
Richard froze. His heart thudded painfully in his chest as a cold chill crawled up his spine. But I don't have a girlfriend, he thought, panic rising in his mind. Who or what was David or Richard hearing on the wall?